Want the high-stakes stuff? The believe-the-hype stuff? The criminally good, emotional roller coaster, can't believe what you're seeing stuff? You know, the good stuff. AMC Plus has it all. Can't wait for the beginning of the end? Watch all new episodes of The Walking Dead 1 week early. Want to be chilled to the core? Set sail with the North Water, a thrilling Arctic drama starring Jack O'Connell and Colin Farrell. Plus, uncover gripping true crime content ad-free and on demand. Expect the epic with AMC Plus. Sign up today at amcplus.com. AMC Plus, only the good stuff.
Welcome to another episode of Mystery on the Rocks. Another podcast? No.
Another one.
Welcome to Mystery on the Rocks, the show where we take unsolved mysteries and cocktails and we shake them up in a shaker, pour it directly into your ear holes. Good
Did you
afternoon,
say
evening, or
pour
morning.
it directly into your holes?
Ear holes.
He said ear holes.
Oh, I thought he said pour it directly into your holes. I was
No,
like,
he specified. He specified.
Ear holes. When I did that and Zoom popped up and went, recording music? I was like, no, I'm not. just an elongated and.
Hey, it's like Clippy.
Yeah,
Looks like you're trying to record some music. It's like, no, it's just his beautiful voice talking.
Just, that's how, well, hey,
Do you reckon? Yeah, it's a piece of Jeremy Renner's software. Are you trying to record an album?
Listen, heaven don't have a name, and yes,
But it does have a face.
Are you trying to record an album,
It's
Jeremy? Make sure you only sing vowels.
I'd love it if Clippy was part of Logic. Music program.
Looks like you're trying to do a trite derivative song, Suze. I'm like, yes, I am actually. Get out of my face.
Looks like you have no musical talent. Thanks.
Wow,
Clips.
Clippy, you sure are a jerk compared to how you were in 2001. Mystery on the rocks, oh yeah. Mystery on the rocks, yeah. Mystery on the rocks, yeah.
Clippy was annoying, but I don't think he's as annoying as everyone remembers him being.
No, he didn't do too much. Mostly, he was like...
Yeah, he'd go away if you told him.
Yeah, and he never make a fuss about it. He wouldn't go like, why?
He's not like, now, the thing is like, why should I go away? Because I told you, why?
Chris really likes the idea of Clippy being like, no worries.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I'll see you later, mate. No, fair enough.
Here when
No,
you need
I'll
me.
The metal kind of like uncurls. And
Yeah, into like a little
and the
little
paper
shrug.
kind of like,
Do you remember he'd like turn into Christmas decorations and stuff?
Yeah.
yeah.
And he'd be
was-
like,
Actually, I like the idea of him going, okay, no worries, sorry to bother you. But
Right.
what I liked more is the idea of him kicking up a fuss.
Yeah. Like, why? Why should I go? What? No, I'm helping you, mate.
What,
Okay,
you're
yeah.
not trying to write a letter?
Jesus
Yeah.
can't say anything these days. Oh, I'm
It's
only
a-
trying him up. I'm only trying him up. Oh, I guess.
I'm trying to-
I'm not trying to paperclip explain you.
Listen, when you misspell something, don't come running to me. Yeah?
This is...
When that little
this
green
is
line
like-
pops up, and you're like, what does that mean? If I misspelled it, did I put the wrong grammar? Is it with the wrong sentence structure? Don't ask me for it, because I won't bloody help you. You can't say
If we
anything.
did this as a sketch in like 1998, we'd win the Perrier.
Absolutely, 100%. I think I'd like
Comedy's so much harder these days.
I'd like to do a comedy show, a sketch show that's a 90s sketch show, but we don't realize it's a 90s sketch show. We're doing it now, and like that's the it's like a meta sketch show,
Oh,
and that
wow.
would win a fucking award because
Yeah,
it'd be like,
that would be really easily done
We
as well.
could,
You just put a 90s grade on it.
Yeah, why don't we do it in Edinburgh?
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
you know, you wear the pale green shirt with the blue tie and the suit. So the 90s suits, you know, we wear all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the poster. And we do the shitty poster where it's like one color, so like yellow. But we're all
Yes.
leaning towards the camera like that with our hands behind our
We're in
backs.
black and white.
But we're in black and white.
Oh
That's
my
it,
god,
Chris.
this
You
is
see
going to
the
be
posters.
good.
This'll be-
I will always be wearing Heather Shimmer lipstick. That's for the 3 readers of this podcast who will be like, oh my god, she referenced Heather Shimmer. That's so funny.
So 90s. You guys are so 30. Well, welcome along. How are you guys? You seem well. All right.
Yeah.
Good now. That'll cheer me up.
Just Chris was like, I was having a bad day, but
Nah,
then
actually,
they
I had
brought
a
up
great
Clippy.
day. I had a great day. I had a weekend of actual proper night's sleep, and then today went for a swim and a walk in the sun. So I feel.
Oh, nice.
Feel
Yeah, tell you what, having
buoyed
nice
up.
weather it like changes everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Isn't
big
it?
time.
I had
Walk in
this
the
thing.
sun.
I was talking to somebody today, and they were like, "It's a bit too hot, isn't it?" And I was like,
No.
But the thing is that I realised I know what they mean, and it's not too hot, but it's too hot to not be on holiday. So when you're walking, do you know what I mean? When it's really hot, when it's really hot, and you see an occasional lizard, and the grass is all yellow, and there are some plants you don't recognise, and you're near the sea, and there's a shop that's all in Spanish.
Yeah,
it's not too hot then. If you walk past Aldi and you can hear the M1, it's a bit too hot.
It's a bit too hot. Yeah,
and also, I don't know. I think scientifically this is true. I've heard someone say something similar, but the heat in this country, it doesn't feel the same as the same temperature in the south of France. The air is just a bit thicker or something.
Yeah. It's I went to Abu Dhabi a few years ago, and it's like the heat there. Oh, it's a desert, so it's very,
It's
very
insanely
different.
hot.
It's insanely
yeah,
hot, but it never feels like the heat here, where you're like, ugh.
Yeah, it's just
You
disgusting.
feel gross. You feel like I step out, and 10 minutes later, I'm like, my shirt is wet. How did this happen?
Yeah, and you like you're like, oh, the bone of your chest is sticky.
Yeah,
yuck,
sticky.
yuck.
Oh,
I hate it.
yucky.
Yeah, the heat here makes you feel like a frog.
Yes. In water that's slowly boiling. Yes.
That's it.
Which is why you want to jump out and go to somewhere like France.
What are we drinking?
What are we drinking? What do you got, Chris? Because I saw that as soon as we started.
Help me think of a name for it, guys. Because
Oh yeah, Chris, what you got?
So I was gigging up north for the weekend, and so stayed with my mum and dad because they live closer to the gig than I did. So
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
so it was nice, first of all, to see them for the first time in ages. They're double vaccinated. I'm double vaccinated.
Double V's, baby.
A pleasant weekend, but they also live in the Lake District, and there's a very nice town up in the Lake District. And in the village store of this little town, we found a bottle of hazelnut rum.
Ooh.
So I bought a bottle of the hazelnut rum, and then I thought, well, I'm going to use that on next Mystery on the Rocks. And so I did hazelnut rum, coffee liqueur, praline syrup, and oat cream, and a little bit of chocolate bitters.
I bet that tastes like a Frere Rocher.
It actually tastes more like a latte.
Wow.
But does it taste like a very luxurious latte?
Yeah, it tastes like a really fucking good iced coffee.
Ooh, we should do that one again, but with Mr. Blacks.
Yes, we should.
Mr. Black.
Actually, you know
I
what,
just think Masood should join us.
I guess it would be nice.
It's
As I was-
always
Come and
funny. It's
have a drink
always a
with
funny
you.
joke.
It'd be
as
really
I was
good.
making it, I thought, because I've only got Kahlua. I was like, I used to like Kahlua until Sue started banging on about this Mr. Black.
Mr.
now
Blacks.
I'm like, now I can't help but think, it's going to be way better than this shit.
I am way better.
He is better. Like
Once you
Masood
go
is better
Mr.
than a
Black, you
cheap
never
coffee
go
liqueur.
back. What are you drinking, Suze?
What am I drinking? I've got a greyhound. Pat, good boy. And here is my drink. Shut up. Look.
Oh, what's
Masood.
the name for mine? What's the name for
Oh
mine?
yeah, what can we call it? A Ferrero Noshoff.
I was trying to think of a coffee pun.
Latte to the party.
Latte to the party, or thanks a latte, something like that.
Or like late to the latte.
Late to the latte.
Doesn't make sense. Why are you late?
Greyhound.
Your
What's
drink.
the Greyhound?
Greyhound.
This is a greyhound. Ooh boy. So screwdriver, orange juice and vodka. We know this. This is like the gin version of a screwdriver. It is gin and grapefruit juice.
Yeah, right.
Now, I was told that can be very dry on its own. And so I've added a little agave syrup. They said simple syrup, so I added agave. So I've added a bit of agave syrup.
Yeah.
And it is really nice. And I use crushed
very
ice.
nice.
I would say this is an ideal drink for our new weather.
Oh, yeah.
I think I can imagine because gin is quite dry and grapefruit juice is sour.
Yeah, it's like very tart.
Yeah, the addition of a syrup is probably a wise decision.
It's not
Yeah,
too
it's
far
really
away
nice.
from a salty dog, which I remember we had way back in season
Yeah.
1.
So what was in the salty dog?
It was gin, a fresh grapefruit juice, but it's fine. You can use a regular grapefruit juice. Fresh lime juice, and I finished off with some Malden salt, some finishing salt.
A bit of salt. See, I had that the other day, but it was called a Paloma, but instead of gin, it was tequila.
It's with tequila, yes. And,
Which
but
I
you had
made last
grapefruit-
week, but...
You had grapefruit soda in it, though.
Yeah,
So
and
that's-
it was a terrible mistake. I used Ting,
Lilt.
which is very sweet and synthetic.
Use a bit of lilt. Oh, no, Ting. Was it Ting or lilt?
I used Ting.
Oh, it was Ting. Sorry, I thought
Yeah,
it was
I
lilt.
went to a Caribbean supermarket because I figured they'd have grapefruit soda. And they did. They had Ting. But actually, it was too sweet. Oh, Paloma is with soda water as well. Grapefruit
Yes.
juice, soda water, tequila, salt. Lime. It's the Theodore Rex of drinks.
It's
Masood, what are you drinking? It looks similar to Chris's drink. Oh, no, it's
So-
not. It's clear.
This is kind of a variation on a kamikaze. So I was like,
Oh, yeah.
well, what do I got? And I was like, well, I've got some IPA syrup. I've got some lemon juice. I've got some orange liqueur, and I've got some vodka. So I put them all together, and it's all right. I was surprised at how well it came together.
The IPA syrup is versatile, isn't it?
It's pretty versatile.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at that. It's
So this is a
lot-
Masood original.
Yes.
What are you calling it?
I'm going to call it a son of a gun, because that's what I said when I drank it. I went,
Ooh, so you're a
pretty
son
good.
of a gun.
although I'd like to try it with gin, because I think gin would probably step it up in a different direction. As gin always does. Like, vodka's nice. Like I said, it's the kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, hey guys, no, everybody, you could all have a turn, you could all have a chat. But like I said, when gin comes in, it's like, oh fuck, gin's got a good story. Here we go.
Gin's got main character disease.
Absolutely, yeah. Whereas vodka's a very good sidekick.
Yeah.
Vodka is the Winter Soldier to your Falcon. If you're that way
Vodka's
inclined.
like, just carry on. You won't know I'm here.
Well, no, I'm here. He's good.
Yeah.
He's not quite Robin, because Robin goes off on his own and does his own fucking thing.
That's
he's more
true.
like Alfred. There it is. Yeah, you're like,
Lived a life, but you don't know
yeah.
what.
You don't know what, and you're glad he's there. You're like, fucking hell, he's solid, isn't he? Alfred
he's
knows
like-
where the bodies are buried.
He's like, don't tell anyone that you did this. You're going to need to sign an NDA. He's a very rich
If
and powerful
DC
man.
had any guts, they would do a comic book run in which Bruce Wayne is Me Too'd.
Yeah,
As the head of Wayne Enterprises, this huge
Oh,
company.
God.
yeah,
He is Me Too'd.
yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And he, as Batman, because no one knows that Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same person.
Right.
No.
He,
As
as
Batman.
Batman, defends himself
Oh,
I
that's
fucking-
good.
to try and get out of it. So it's sort of like, for the column inches, like, then it's like, Batman insists Bruce Wayne innocent.
Wow.
Wow.
I'd be kind of interested to read that. If they do that, if they actually do that, and they're listening to this podcast, fucking, you better get a slice of that action.
Well, if they do
That's
it, we
horrible,
know where it
Chris.
came from.
Yeah, I read that. I mean, that's a fucking cool idea.
And all those conversations that Bruce Wayne always has about, where's the line and going too far. He always has those conversations with Alfred, and Alfred always puts him on the straight and narrow, and this is the one. And Alfred's like, oh, come on. Right,
Chris,
Anyway, what's your mystery?
What do you have for us today, Chris?
It's the Toxic Lady.
Ah, yes, this has been bandied about quite a bit. I remember reading about this in the early days. You'd sent me this about 3 or 4 times, and each time I pushed you back on it.
I never felt it either. I was a bit like, yeah, but it did feel like it was one we should get round to at some point.
Yes. Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because it was on the surface, perfectly healthy 31-year-old woman went into hospital talking gibberish. She was called Gloria Ramirez. I think it was probably 1994. They did some tests on her. She died, and anybody that touched her blood or came into contact with her, they were poisoned, basically.
Jesus.
Just touching, just her body poisoned them, and they started feeling ill effects, and they had no idea why.
Whoa. It's sort of like, I guess this reminded me of that woman who was, this is really bad because I've forgotten her name, but she was a woman in the early 20th century who was essentially, for lack of a better word, riddled with cancer. And she was like the kind of petri dish for all of the cancer research because she had so much cancer, but she was alive, and it was like a medical miracle. They're like, how is she still alive? We don't know. But then they've used her as like a sampling for testing cancer past that point. But for some reason, this case reminded me of that. I was like, yeah, that one, yeah.
Gloria Ramirez did have cancer.
Oh.
She had cervical cancer.
Yeah.
Which had only been diagnosed a little bit before. So they were still sort of very confused as to why she was quite so ill and then died.
Yeah.
Okay, so she wasn't as healthy as we thought. So she's 31, so what? She's got cancer, that's bad. But it was the fact that she poisoned everybody that she touched. And
yeah, that's crazy.
to the point where the people that handled the body had to put hazmat suits on because...
Jeez.
Yeah, to this day. Okay, so we do unsolved mysteries. There's a good chance this one is solved, but there's still some debate about it because there are still some scientists that are like, yeah, but...
Fucking hell, that's fucking... Oh, Henrietta Lacks, that's the woman.
Oh, I didn't know about Henrietta Lacks. I'll have to...
Yeah, sorry, it was the 50s. The search for a cure for cancer, and the woman who will never die because her cells never stop reproducing.
So she's still she's still alive, yeah?
No, she died, but her cells kept producing as fast as the cancer could spread, so that's how she stayed alive.
Bloody hell!
Yeah,
amazing. Well,
what an absolute anomaly in medicine.
Mad. Yeah,
because Gloria Ramirez, her heart was beating faster than it could fill.
Right.
So her blood pressure dropped significantly, which would explain why she became delirious and started talking gibberish. But,
okay.
So first of all, the nurses that dealt with her skin had this weird oily residue. They were like, "What's this?" And it smelt of garlic. And then when they took blood from her, there was a strong smell of ammonia, as if ammonia was coursing through her veins instead of blood.
Fucking hell.
Because they'd done it without obviously they wore gloves and stuff. It was sanitary.
Yeah, but they didn't. She just came into the hospital. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah.
But it was the fact that it was airborne contact. They fainted,
right.
And one nurse who dealt with her fainted. And then when she regained consciousness, could not walk anymore.
What, forever? That's it. She's just
no.
Okay.
I think she eventually was able to, but it was sort of like she ended up short-term paralysed from the waist down.
Jesus Christ!
Just by being in contact with Gloria Ramirez. That's why Gloria Ramirez ended up becoming the toxic lady. Yeah.
Do we know where she worked? Did she work like in a crazy like a garlic ammonia factory?
It's the new big thing, ammonia garlic.
Yeah. Ammonia garlic. Kids are into it. I'm pickling my own
garlic. It's really disgusting.
So
that it feels like it smells so fucking disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, words like ammonia and garlic, when you mix them together, it does smell like a kitchen that someone's thrown up in, so they've
bleachy
cleaned
feet.
It.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Like a wet dog that's been rolling in fox shit, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do with this? So you wash it in Vosine.
Yeah. Oh Christ. I thought you were going to say TCP.
TCP.
Then spray some Lynx Africa afterwards just to cover the smell of the...
There you go. Now it smells like a teenage boy's bedroom.
And then you wonder why the dog's dead.
About 3 years ago, I got a horrible cold that gave me like loads of mouth ulcers. And like big ones. One was nearly the size of a 5p. It was really horrible. And some were on my tongue.
I appreciate that size reference.
Like, you can imagine it. Like, it was horrible. And, if you dilute TCP in warm water, rinse it around your mouth, get rid of ulcers.
Mouth ulcers, yeah. It also cleans floors.
Yeah, do a lot, right? So I went, I bet I can cut out the middleman here and just zap these ulcers.
No, not straight.
If I just get a mouthful of TCP straight from the bottle, however much it hurts, I'll hold it in my mouth for a minute, rinse, and then the ulcers will be gone because they were giving me so much shit. It was like bringing me down. Like, long story short, I destroyed all my taste buds for a week and a half.
Yeah.
It was awful.
You might as well have drank Dettol.
There's one thing I find implausible about that story, which is that you didn't put Frangelico in with the tea.
It was in the old days before I used to have booze.
I am one of those people that I think a massive hit of short-term agony with a mouth ulcer is better in the long term for it. So I put salt on my mouth ulcers.
Yeah.
But it fucking stings.
Yeah.
It really stings.
That's probably where they got the term of salt on a wound from.
That's probably what it means, because it hurts to put salt in a wound. Have you ever? Anyway, I told comedian and friend of the show Eleanor Morton what I'd done, and she was like, 2 days later, messaged me saying, "Hi, I'm thinking about what you did with that TCP, and I can't stop laughing again." It was not good.
Like Masood messaging me earlier today and saying, "I just thought about your nan falling over and really."
So we went to stay with Sarah's parents, and I was out in their garden. I was like, I just sat there in a deck chair laughing to myself.
It was awful. I couldn't feel my tongue. And but then the very back of my tongue really hurt. The roof of my mouth was all like raw and awful. Like, what I should have done is not that.
And then there's that panic, isn't there? For that week and a half, you're like, well, I've killed my test buds. I've killed them.
I did
That's
go
it.
like, have I destroyed my mouth forever?
Yeah.
And then
That's
it tingled. Then my tongue was tingling, and I went, oh, hang on, it's coming back. And then I could taste again.
There's something.
And then it
what
was
was
great.
the first thing you tasted?
Oh yeah.
You go,
What did you? Oh, thank God.
I can tell you.
Yeah.
Malt loaf.
Malt loaf. You ate a saurine. Did you eat a
saurine, mate. Malt loaf.
You went. I imagine as well. You went. I need to.
It fucking does, Chris. Malt loaf.
I just love the idea that you're in a supermarket. You're like, I think my taste is coming back. I need something to
give me some fucking saurine.
And you go past. You're like, it's like Twix. Fucking like a full a mint arrow, and you're like, there we go, saurine, there we go.
Get me this. Excuse me, which aisle is your saurine in?
It could be something so interesting, but the idea that, like, if you ever wrote your autobiography, Susan, this was a really harrowing chapter in that you thought you might lose your taste buds forever.
Wow.
My dice with death.
How would you describe that first taste of saurine?
Of saurine. It must have been
It was
blissful.
delicious. It tasted so brown.
It was the best tasting saurine anyone has ever had.
It was. I was like,
I'm not saying that Susie's really old, but that would have been before saurine did flavoured. Before they did the apple. Before they did banana.
What? They do other flavours. Hang on a minute. I've got to get me some TCP and then book in a week and a half a trip to Tesco.
Susie's great idea of a weekend is to reset her taste buds.
Yeah, I just like to. It's awful for about a week and a half. You
That
can't feel anything.
That hit a saurine.
Sorry, so Toxic Woman.
Yes.
Our toxic lady.
This is California.
California.
February
94.
1994. She's rushed into the emergency room.
We don't know where she doesn't work anywhere toxic.
Well, she's a housewife, which I assume means stay-at-home mum.
Yeah.
She's got 2 young children and she's married. She is admitted her heart was beating too rapidly to allow it to fill up, so her blood pressure was plummeting.
Which is why she was all
She was
delirious
talking she was talking gibberish. What they were confused about is that when most patients show up to the ER with symptoms like that, they're elderly, but she was 31.
Yeah.
Right.
So it turns out she did have cervical cancer.
Okay.
So they started injecting her with like lots of fast-acting drugs that given the symptoms they were presented with, they treated it the way they normally would.
Yeah.
So Valium was one of them. Lots of things to try and sedate her. Something called Bertilium, which is meant to bring her, stop her heart beating so fast.
Bertilium.
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 Right.
Bertilium. Bretylium.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt you. It's just like I've never heard of it.
It feels like it's sitting in the same category of a word that I often quite like is barbiturates, but I don't know. I don't think it is.
So
Because it's got bitch in it.
Yeah.
Because she was responding poorly to all of this, not very well.
Yeah.
Right.
They decided, we're going to have to defib her. So they took off her shirt to put the electrodes on her, and that's when they noticed that she was
Free knockers.
covered in this oily shit.
Way. I imagine one of the doctors went, "Way," when they were their show.
Every single time. I did this lifeguarding course where we're told what to do with if you have to defib somebody, and it's sort of like you cut everything off.
And it's too late, Chris, because you've seen everything.
But there were some women in the room that were like, "What do you mean, like everything?" And it's like, yeah, no, you have to do everything because there's metal in bras, and
it's got to be skin contact.
Like, it has to be a bare-chested defib, and obviously some of the women were horrified. But there was definitely a creepy bloke in the corner that was like, "Can't wait for a woman to have a heart attack."
It's like,
It was horrible. It was really
Name
horrible.
something that might be a fetish, and it will be a fetish.
Yeah,
Hence,
defribbing.
cakefart.com.
That's,
Well,
Cake
that's
fart.
that's something for the private browser for some of our,
Women
of our viewers.
farting on cakes.
Women.
Cakes. What a waste
That's
of
someone's
good
fetish.
cake.
It's real.
What
Yeah,
waste
to
of
you,
good cake.
not if you're a cake fart guy. I like
Are they
girls
blowing
farting
out?
on
Are
cakes.
you laughing because they're blowing out candles?
No, nothing like that. It's just a cake. The video is, and it's the
Specific.
yeah,
That's so
I know. The
specific.
website is
It's like-
cakefart.com.
Is it like just some?
It's a woman farting on a cake.
Yeah. Okay. So if a woman decides, do you know what? I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna fart on a fucking cake.
Yeah, I'm gonna start selling videos of myself doing this, but it's a
Yeah.
pie. Does she get angry emails?
Probably. I don't know. I would email angrily because I'm into cake farts.
Because it's a pie and not a cake.
Here's a funny thing. If I found out somehow that was a thing, right? If I was
Yeah.
the person who stumbled across the cake farting thing, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to take this as far as it's going to fucking go. I'm going to see how
the
much
arse.
money... how much money I can get out of cake farts. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, what's it costing me? It's costing me, what, a cake a day? Maybe two?
And
it's
you
setting up
can
a
buy them
camera.
cheap. You can buy like a full-on birthday cake in
And if
Tesco
people,
for
and this is the thing,
$4.99.
Make 'em
if you
cheap.
start getting on OnlyFans
Yeah,
or
but-
Patreon, right? You can either start baking them, you can start getting wedding cakes, you can
I was
start
going to
getting all
say,
sorts
Masood, you want to introduce an element of danger into this. It's wedding cake farms.
Oh shit! And all the guests are there in the background.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's that. See, that's a that would be under the subreddit of public cake fart. Our public
You've got the
cake fart.
perfect cut in the cake pun.
Oh, that's gross.
Perfect.
I mean,
That's it.
I think farting on a cake is disgusting. I heard this on a website because someone was saying, not on a website, on a podcast.
Yeah.
Someone was like going, cakefart.com. And I went, my ear went, but Rachel Bloom, who does
From
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend,
Crazy Girlfriend, yeah.
because she does other comedy songs, obviously, and one of them is about cakefart.com, and it's called it's like about following your dreams and farting on a cake.
That's,
It's about following through.
Following through on a cake. But yeah, so any fetish you can think of, and we could be like, balloons, like poking in your eye. There'd be someone who'd hear that and go like, tell me more about these balloons poking in your eye. Oh shit, I like that very much. It's like my fetish is, a lovely early night and no one makes any fucking noise. And I think about that and I go, ooh, yeah. And then I fall asleep
And you go,
at 8:30. Yeah.
Our toxic lady. What else does she?
They took her
defrib.
shirt off to give the
Topless defrib.
That's
Yeah,
when
3
they
tits.
noticed. That's when they noticed that there was she was oily, like properly, like there was residue, and it was a fruity, garlicky odor coming from her mouth.
Right.
So to obtain blood for analysis, they swabbed the right arm with alcohol, put the catheter in, put the syringe in, and it was when the syringe began to fill with her blood, a strong smell of ammonia.
That's nuts. She
out.
should be dead already if her blood is
Yeah.
full of ammonia.
And she's
That's
covered
because that's
in-
piss.
in residue.
So
That's
the
in
blood,
wee.
the blood smelled like putrid of it.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And then a medical resident noticed weird particles floating in the blood.
Oh, like visible. Oh, Christ.
Inner space. It was Dennis Quaid.
It was Dennis Quaid. It was Dennis Quaid was in her blood.
Finally, an inner space reference.
Then he
on
goes,
this
It's
podcast.
about bloody
And
time.
Martin Short was like, "There goes my ulcer." It's because he put CCP on it.
Wow. How many times did that line get said in films in the 90s and you went, ha, what the fuck are they talking about?
Ah, my ulcer. Or
It's
you've been
because
watching
everyone
way
was so
too much
stressed in
Oprah.
the 80s. Everybody
Yeah,
had,
it sounds like
everybody
it was
had
very
stomach
stressful.
ulcers.
Everyone was full of hairspray.
The nurse that did that took the blood,
She got ill. She couldn't walk.
fainted
for a day and a half.
straight away.
Yeah.
They had to catch her. Her face was burning up. This is the nurse now. Face was burning up. She was put on a gurney and she was taken away from the room straight away.
Christ.
Another one of the nurses began feeling queasy. She left the trauma room and sat down to regroup. A staff member went out and followed this second nurse to ask if she was okay, but before she could answer, she just fell off what she was sitting on and she fell to the floor.
Fuck.
What's
hell.
wrong
so
with
that's-
all these nurses?
Yeah.
So that's 2 members of the emergency room staff that treated Gloria Ramirez. They were wheeled away from the trauma room on a gurney themselves.
Jesus.
One of them was shaking intermittently over and over again. She just stopped breathing, take a few breaths, and then stop breathing again, which is which is basically apnea, but it just suddenly came on. Back in the emergency room with Gloria Ramirez, a third person called Welch.
Class name, fantastic.
Juice.
I heard someone. So Welch has said, "I remember hearing someone scream, and then I woke up. I couldn't control the movements of my limbs." So that was paralyzed.
And he was like, "Hey, girl on the floor."
Yeah, everybody want the dinosaur. I couldn't control my limbs.
Welch is actually Maureen Welch. She was a respiratory therapist.
Okay.
Saureen Welch.
Oh, it's not a guy. Saureen. She was delicious.
Anyway, so that's like 3 people immediately.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Fuck.
And then they were like, it became news. There was this frightening possibility that a human body was just releasing toxic fumes.
Yeah, like people were passing out.
Yeah.
So it became this huge news story. People started putting it down to mass hysteria. And they were like, oh, well, one nurse fainted and then the others panicked and followed suit.
Oh, like that movie with Macy Williams where they're all the ladies fainting in the school.
Not only did it become this huge news story, it did trigger an extensive investigation because they were like, well, something's happening.
Yeah.
So I didn't know this was a thing, but medical detectives from
like House.
from 10 local, state, and federal outfits examined dozens of possibilities.
Yeah.
Now it's really it's worth pointing out. I'll skip ahead that Gloria Ramirez had 3 autopsies.
Whoa.
Oh, shit. Okay, wow.
One of them was fairly recently after she died. The other one was a couple of months, and then the third one was right before she went in the ground.
Yeah.
Blimey. Okay.
Right. So,
They were like, "What did this? What did this?"
The hypothesis is that a chain of like unlikely chemical reactions exacerbated by certain things basically turned her into a canister of nerve gas. Like basically turned the body into this toxic.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
So when Welch collapsed, she was the third one. Other staff members began to say that they felt ill. So they declared an internal emergency in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So the staff evacuated all emergency room patients to the parking lot outside the hospital. And then a skeleton crew stayed inside to try and save Ramirez's life.
And you can't kill a skeleton. So that's a good...
So her blood pressure continued dropping and they kept doing the defibs, kept giving her drugs to treatment, but
so she was dying as this was happening.
Yeah, and get this, she went in at 8:19 in the morning. 8:15 in the evening, 8:15, right?
What time is it now?
This happened in half an hour, and by then she was dead. So that all happened within the space of half an hour.
So 8:45, that's it, she's gone.
They moved the body to an isolation room, but then while everybody was out in the parking lot, they had all these emergency patients to deal with. They were treating patients and the colleagues that had fallen ill after dealing with Ramirez. They were treating all of them outside in the car park.
Wow.
Fuck. That's nuts. Was anyone else catching this as well, or was it just contained
at
to
the
those?
moment? No, at the moment it's isolated to the people that treated her.
Okay.
Because it happened so quickly, they acted like they panicked, but I think they did the right thing. So even though they were outside and it was February, it was California, I guess. But anybody that had come into contact with her, they stripped them down to their underwear and burnt their clothes because it was like So
like with Chernobyl, they just burned all
Yeah,
their
it sounds
So
like
one
it.
of them-
And what year was this? Did you say?
1994.
Was it sometime after Chernobyl?
Baywatch was on telly at the time. Still, it was it's quite recent.
I think 94. It's either 94 or 92 was the year that the Beach Boys' "Summer in Paradise" album was released, which is known to be one of the worst albums of all time. It's hard to know whether this album or this incident is more scary.
Was probably
You can't even buy it. You can't buy. Summer in
so
Paradise.
actually it was true because
not even
I
on
think
Spotify.
while Rolling News was reporting this. And then it was like, wait a minute, we have to leave this just now. The Beach Boys album has just...
Yeah, we've got to go listen.
And the results are in. It is dreadful.
So while they were all outside, bearing in mind a few people had fallen ill, the one that would stop breathing sporadically kept just not breathing.
Oh, so intermittently she would just stop breathing.
Yeah. So somebody else, the first person, I think... Her limbs were just going all over the place, and her face was burning.
Walking the dinosaur, that's what she did.
And then somebody completely different, a woman named Sally Balderas. She was a vocational nurse who'd gone back inside to help take Gloria Ramirez's dead body to the isolation room. Yeah. She just started retching, and her skin started burning up, and lo and behold, she was in such a bad shape that she had to be put on a gurney as well. Now, this is going to blow your mind, okay? That night on shift, 37 emergency room staff members were working. Yeah. 23 of them had symptoms.
Fucking hell.
That's more than COVID.
5 were hospitalised for the rest of the night.
Jesus.
And,
oh my God.
One of them kept having the bouts of not breathing, the bouts of apnea, during a hospital stay that was 10 days long. Was hospitalised for 10 days.
And it's like not breathing.
So that's nuts.
Gudzinski, who was another one of the staff, the most severely ill, spent 2 weeks in intensive care, where not only get this. Jesus. Not only did Gudzinski have apnea and the not breathing thing, she also suffered from pancreatitis,
bloody hell,
hepatitis, and a vascular necrosis, which is apparently a condition where bone tissue is starved of blood and your bone tissue begins to die. She got this from Gloria Ramirez.
From Gloria Ramirez.
But Gloria Ramirez just being in the room.
Want the high-stakes stuff? The believe the hype stuff? The criminally good, emotional roller coaster, can't believe what you're seeing stuff? You know, the good stuff. AMC Plus has it all. Can't wait for the beginning of the end? Watch all new episodes of The Walking Dead 1 week early. Want to be chilled to the core? Set sail with the North Water, a thrilling Arctic drama starring Jack O'Connell and Colin Farrell. Plus, uncover gripping true crime content ad-free and on demand. Expect the epic with AMC Plus. Sign up today at amcplus.com. AMC Plus. Only the good stuff.
This next song will make you love your auto and home coverage as much as you love the 80s.
Switch to insurance. They're saving me so much. They covered my car and bundled with my home. I feel so secure to say I love insurance.
Visit AAA.com/insurance and save up to 20%.
Insurance.
Yeah, and so the vascular necrosis attacked her knees, attacked Gudzinski's knees, which meant she was on crutches for months.
This sounds so painful as well.
And yeah, so basically this means you need a really, really strong toxin to do all of that.
Yeah.
To be passed on to you. Like, they weren't even... Whatever Gloria Ramirez was subjected to, they weren't. They were subjected to just Gloria Ramirez's
like
body.
the secondhand smoke version of that.
Yeah.
So
what they got. The fuck happened? No.
Yeah.
So are these symptoms like synonymous with anything else, like something like radiation sickness, or is there like something else that's similar to all of these? Because these symptoms seem fucking random.
It's crazy, isn't it? So, so about 11 p.m, which again I think that's pretty good response time. She died at 10 to 9. At 11 p.m, so not like just over 2 hours afterwards, Riverside County Hazardous Materials team arrived, and they were looking for what could have caused this. So they were like, maybe it's some volatile toxicant that was lurking in the air of the emergency room. Maybe it wasn't her. Maybe Gloria Ramirez was subjected to the same thing that the staff are subjected to.
Yeah, she was ill anyway.
Yeah,
and then
so
they
looked for noxious chemicals. They were looking for. They even thought maybe it was sewer gas that had ended up coming into the hospital.
Right.
Which
cake farts.
One of them got a hard on. Didn't know it was.
And was like, "Oh,
and somebody else went. Somebody else went, I got an idea.
I'm going, hiya, I've just got to check a web domain.
Yeah, Tim, you're getting married at the weekend, aren't you? No reason.
No, it's just...
no reason.
Just...
They were looking for basically what they thought might be
anything
sewer gas, which is like, it's a poison and it smells like rotten eggs, which would explain the ammonia smell, I guess. And at high concentrations, it can kill a person just after 1 or 2 sniffs.
Sewer gas? Really?
Yeah.
How do the Ninja Turtles deal with that?
They're dirty little buggers, mate.
No nostrils. That's the thing.
Nothing.
The clues in the name Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Masood, they are teenagers.
Yeah, they all stink of Lynx Africa, like we said earlier.
And then they also thought maybe it was is it either phosgene or phosgene, which is a gas that is kind of schizophrenic. So on one hand, it is a safe, legal ingredient used in the preparation of a lot of organic chemicals, but on the other hand, it's a terrible weapon for chemical warfare that tears open capillaries in the lungs and it drowns victims in blood.
I think that's bad.
Yeah.
Is that what they were using in, when Wilfred Owen was like, "Well, gas boys, quick, put on your masks. Ooh, an ecstasy of fumbling, but not with my knob, with a gas mask." I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how I remember Wilfred Owen's poetry.
Always
gas
whining
boys,
on
gas
about
boys.
be a patriot. Stop whinging about the war.
Is this mustard? Is this essentially what mustard is used in mustard gas? Because mustard gas is.
Oh, is that just
horrible.
mustard gas?
Even though they were relieved that none of these were the cause, they were worried that they couldn't find a cause.
Okay.
So there was no the fact that the questions weren't answered was even worse.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. So then they performed the first autopsy. Mm-hmm. So they thought maybe the body has a toxic chemical in it, maybe a pathogen that she somehow came into contact with. Anyway, to do the autopsy, they put on moon suits. And
what?
It's like E.T.
Yeah, they went into a sealed chamber to do the autopsy. 90 minutes later, they came out with samples of blood and tissue, along with air from the body bag, because obviously she'd been zipped up in a body bag. And also air samples from the aluminium crates that the body bag had been in.
Sure.
Right.
They wouldn't say immediately what the results of the analysis were.
Okay.
In the days that followed. But after several days, it became apparent that they hadn't really found anything remarkable, so they still had unanswered questions. So then they called in something called the Forensic Science Centre. It was the National Laboratory, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, which is about 60 miles east of San Francisco, so a fair whack away.
Yeah.
And it had its rooting in nuclear arms build-up that started shortly after World War II. So they sent the body there.
Samples. They're like, you guys deal with it. Yeah.
And by this point, the Cold War was over. So they weren't really doing much, but they were probably quite well suited to look at chemical warfare. And so they did the second autopsy. So that forensic centre took up the case in early March. So even then, a few weeks later.
Yeah.
After some preliminary discussions, they requested the help of this remote centre, Livermore, and then they shipped the autopsy samples on dry ice up to the lab.
Yeah.
And
just for effect, just so it looked cool.
Then the centre's
Isn't it cool?
The centre's director said, "Well, what we thought we'd do is it was fairly straightforward: analyse the compounds, organic and inorganic, the blood, the bile, the tissues, the air samples from our organs, and then they'd also check any gases that may have vented off the samples into the pocket of air, separating the samples from the tops." I don't really understand anything that comes next in this article because I'm not a scientist.
Oh, okay, no, fair enough.
I'm not a science guy. I'm a mystery man.
I'm actually a rum man more than.
That's all right. I'm Mr. Black, so don't worry about it.
Mr. Black.
So apparently, one of the tests is that he would take bile from the liver. And then warm it back up to body temperature to pull out any of the gases that might still be lurking in it.
Okay.
But all he found was nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and argon, which is
what's in there anyway.
What you should find.
Yeah.
So he couldn't find toxic. He couldn't find any chemicals, and this is like this big old institute in the desert. Is it in the desert if it's 60 miles east of San Francisco? But it's in California anyway. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's not urban. Sort of like a
sure. Okay. Yeah.
So they kept doing all of these tests, couldn't really find anything, but he did find a few interesting just anomalies. So one was an unidentified derivative of ammonia.
Yeah.
Yes,
that
which
could
was
have
in her
contributed
blood.
to
Yeah.
the smell.
Right.
So that backed that up. The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health had also found that when they'd done their test and suggested that this must be the possible culprit, but there was only so many. The levels in the autopsy samples was so small that it couldn't really have been contagious. It couldn't really have affected anybody else that touched it.
That could have been a time thing, though. It's like even though they'd shipped them quickly, it's possible that all of that would have started to deteriorate over that very short space of time.
Well,
they're like it's no longer, the samples are no longer really, you can't really get anything from them.
So then they found something else, which was it's called dimethyl sulfone. It's a molecule which is 1 sulfur, 2 carbons, 6 hydrogens, and 2 oxygens.
Okay.
Right.
It's manufactured as an industrial solvent.
Get out your workbooks, guys. We're turning to page 363.
But I know this isn't very funny, but I think it's fucking fascinating. It's produced naturally sometimes in our own bodies from amino acids that contain sulfur, because sulfur's part of the world. Like you walk past something and you go,
that smells like sulfur. Yeah, it's like why I don't like.
But when it enters in our body, it's broken down by the liver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dimethyl sulfone has a half-life in the body of less than 3 days, so it shouldn't be there.
Okay.
So healthy people, they don't have any measurable amounts of it in their system. Get this.
But
Gloria Ramirez's blood and tissues, there was such a hefty concentration of it.
Yeah.
That even weeks after she had died, there was still 3 times the normal amount in her system.
Oh, okay.
So then that feels like it's a
She was
contributor
not a
to
well
some kind.
woman.
Yeah. It was something.
Yeah, but even despite that, so yeah, you might be thinking, well then obviously she wasn't very well, but that much in one body couldn't knock out an entire emergency room of staff.
Sure. Yeah, that seems wacky. And also, if like, 2/3 of them had terrible symptoms, why didn't all of them, if the gas was around?
Yeah. Was there only some people that were affected by it and others not? Was it a blood thing? Was it only targeting pandemic? That's what I say.
Vaccines did this.
The director of this super swanky institute 60 miles east of San Francisco,
Yeah.
he was like really disheartened. And there's a direct quote here, which is like, how can I spend this much time not find anything?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that anytime I lose my phone.
Do you do that when you lose stuff? You're like, you say out loud, I had it. It was. I had it 3 minutes ago.
The coroner's office had also reached the end of its road as well. It was like, we can't do anything.
Yeah.
And there was a
my
press
God.
conference, because bear in mind this has now made national news.
Mm-hmm.
A press conference at the end of April was designed to reveal the autopsy results, and the coroner just announced that she died of cardiac dysrhythmia triggered by kidney failure stemming from her cancer, which they
Technically,
were guessing at.
Yeah,
That's
right,
not.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the investigation was finished, they said. As for the illness into the hospital workers and how that might be linked to her, they concluded that exhaustive toxicological studies have not identified any external toxic substances that would have contributed to her death.
So they don't know. They just don't know. They're like, well, we don't know.
So the books on her death are now officially closed.
Right.
And there was no explanation on the outbreak of illness among the staff. But there are people that have... So I think... lost the article, but it was to do with... Apparently she had this cream, this sort of like cosmetic cream that she would cover herself head to toe in, which had been discontinued in the 60s. And the reason it had been discontinued in the 60s was because it was harmful and dangerous and could have caused this dimethyl sulfone.
Right, and the kind of the ammonia and the leaking and the
yeah.
smell
So then,
and,
well, the reason that it was discontinued was because it was better for mechanics to use than it was for people to put on their skin.
Jesus.
Okay.
That said, there's 2 things that sort of say that can't be the case, which is, again, it shouldn't really have caused the effect on everybody that worked on her.
Yeah.
Like, it would have harmed her. Of course it would.
There's no way airborne.
Even that being the case, it shouldn't have affected anybody that touched her.
No.
And,
just her, yeah.
And second of all, her family denied her ever using it.
Oh,
so
there you go.
But this isn't some woman off the street. They don't know who she is. She had a family, and not just just
not
a
a Jane
husband
Doe.
and kids. Like she had like other family, parents, sisters, siblings, and everything like that. So who, by the way, tried to sue the hospital because they were convinced it was the hospital's bad conditions that she died.
Yeah, I could see that.
So then I suppose maybe if you want to start getting into theories, was it a case of the hospital fucked up and tried to cover it up with this weird story, or is it so weird that we haven't got the answer yet? Because let's not this was 3 autopsies, one of which was carried out by a considerably prestigious institute and couldn't find any answers. So it feels very much like a super freak weird thing, like an unexplainable thing where it's just like, well, she was just she woke up one day and she was fucking poisonous, and then she went to hospital and that was it. Like, it sounds really like a cop out, but weird shit happens. Yeah, and you also said, oh, like House. It's like this could be an episode of House. There'd be a reason for it, and it's all a combination of these things. And it's like we've said before about how, like, a locked room mystery will be the result of a lot of little things going wrong, all adding up.
Yeah.
This is the medical equivalent of that.
Yeah, it'll be lots of little.
Yeah.
So, like, first of all, she had, I don't know whether she was undergoing chemotherapy, but like she had cervical cancer. That would change her physiology, like, because cancer cells.
Yeah, they keep replicating.
And also they attack the body.
Yeah.
Maybe she was using some things that reacted differently with her body than it would have done if she was healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they all stack on top of each other.
And it's all just a combination of stuff. Bearing in mind, they were pumping her full of drugs as well, because she had symptoms that they recognised that they might have misdiagnosed. Yeah. So the cocktail of stuff that they were pumping into her.
Hey, it's a show.
Yeah, exactly. She was a toxic cocktail of accidents.
Today I've made a toxic cocktail of accidents.
Well, because I think it's as you go back to your house analogy, actually, Chris. I think what it is, people want
your
it to
house
be
analogy.
Well, to go back to my house analogy, people want it to be
Don't blame
like
Masood.
a cool, like, oh, it turns out that she drank this thing and then she was a toxic woman, as opposed to the more real thing of like, like you were saying, is like, it was this and probably this and then topped with this.
That's it.
Led to this, and and that timeline is so hard to draw.
The thing that frightens me is the experts couldn't find what it was.
I know, it's wacky, isn't it? Normally with medical stuff, it's rare, it's a mystery.
So there were 37 people on shift working at the hospital that night in the emergency room. 23 of them got symptoms, and maybe some of them were psychosomatic.
Yeah.
Some of because it doesn't say to the extent that they all got them. Like, so there's that initial 5 or 6 that were severely affected. Yeah. Like, any of the others could have got a headache and gone, oh my God, I did walk past. Or, oh my God, I did take a cup of coffee from Kaczynski. So, they could
it's
be
so
like,
true. Where, bearing in mind, like, there was one person who, their bones all got fucked up and stuff and they had problems for months. Fine. You see that and you go, God, I was in the room with them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I feel short of breath.
And maybe a little bit. I'm not saying that, like, obviously the bones fucked up and she was on crutches for months. That's obviously a very serious thing. But what if this idea of, like, a cocktail of accidents, what if she had an underlying thing that was triggered by...
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
all kind of,
And that's why everybody's looking for this pathogen that might not even be there, because it could be a lot of other things and stuff.
So true.
It's a cool story regardless.
It's wacky, isn't it? Yeah. Are there documentaries about it or anything? Like, is there like
yes, so I mean, like, mini ones. There are mini ones on YouTube, but I'm not sure if there's like a proper meaty full one.
Like an Adam Curtis-esque.
Unfortunately, the lady smelled of ammonia.
Google it if you want. If you're into the cases that we do on this podcast, I always recommend Googling them, because we don't have chance or intelligence enough to do them like properly.
It's true, and sometimes we want to do them properly, but we accidentally talk about whether or not we want to fuck Gene Kelly when he's old. For ages. So
I don't blame us for that, because the man was still pretty good looking.
He was a hot guy. If you watch Xanadu and you see old Gene Kelly, you'll be like, fair enough. Yeah,
you get it. You get it.
Come on, Olivia Newton-John. I hope you end up with him. Just that kind of thing. The thing that made me go, that makes sense, is you're going to get a lot of people who have got psychosomatic.
Yeah, addict, insane, breathe the pressure, come play the game.
Which is a great way of explaining how 23 people got ill. But it's not a great way of explaining how 5 people got so ill.
Yeah, and the way someone had necrosis of the bones. Although, did they have them anyway?
Yeah,
through
and
something
then
else.
it could be and also it sounds so dumb because obviously it's all theorizing because we're not experts. But if there was this underlying condition anyway, could it have been exacerbated by whatever the cocktail of Gloria Ramirez's blood was at that point?
So like she was that was a catalyst for a lot of other things.
Because I'm not saying that Gloria Ramirez was a perfectly ordinary patient. There was obviously something going on.
Yeah, she was. She was not well. We know this.
And again, to go back to what I said first of all, what if the family were onto something and this was a case of the hospital being incredibly unhygienic? And
they cover it up and it's like RSA scandal and
people are more inclined to believe the fact that the woman became poisonous than a hospital was unhygienic because they don't want hospitals to be unhygienic. They have to go to hospitals.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're toxic. I'm slipping under faith of your pores.
And that was the inspiration for Britney Spears' hit single,
was like,
Toxic.
Britney said, let me out of my conservatorship. Also, Toxic is about this woman who came into a hospital and she died and she had all these crazy symptoms and she made everyone ill.
Got a soft spot for that song, to be honest.
Toxic.
Yeah.
It is a great song. Good video too.
It's a fucking good song. Yeah. With
That's how we should sync up the show this week. We all sang Toxic in perfect harmony. Many viewers cried of how
maybe that's how we should do it from day one. So I think that's it.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
We don't have medical mysteries often. I think that's very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
As we were doing it, I was like, oh no, it is. We should have done this ages ago.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of. It's quite meaty. It's got a lot to it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks to all you bloody lovely people listening, and like we mentioned about 10 million times during this episode, do join the Patreon.
Do it.
It helps keep this show going.
Thanks to people like you, big hairy orangutan.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yay.
You go to patreon.com/mystery on the rocks.
Yeah.
Pledge a bit of money and you get loads of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of fun things. Maybe even a personalized pipette. If you're lucky.
That's our merch. We do pipette.
Do you have any how expensive those fucking personalized
We should get pipettes, those little plastic ones. Personalise them by carving Mystery on the Rocks into it so that they're useless. It's just
Yeah, if you want to use them, you have to put your thumb right over the MOTR that we carved in with safety pins.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
With safety pins. Well, I'm going to use a compass. All right, thanks so much, everybody. See you later. Bye.
Mystery on the rocks, oh yeah. Mystery on the rocks, yeah. Mystery on the rocks, yeah.
Want the high-stakes stuff? The believe the hype stuff? The criminally good, emotional roller coaster, can't believe what you're seeing stuff? You know, the good stuff. AMC Plus has it all. Can't wait for the beginning of the end? Watch all new episodes of The Walking Dead 1 week early. Want to be chilled to the core? Set sail with the North Water, a thrilling Arctic drama starring Jack O'Connell and Colin Farrell. Plus, uncover gripping true crime content ad-free and on demand. Expect the epic with AMC Plus. Sign up today at amcplus.com. AMC Plus, only the good stuff.